in the last video we were looking at the symmetry under time translation, and we defined what is called Jacobi's integral, okay, which is also known as energy function or Hamiltonian. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll take two simple examples in today's video for appreciating these quantities better. And in the next one, we'll talk about, in the next video and also, we'll start talking about symmetries under space translation. Okay, so let's start by recollecting what we talked about last time. Okay, and we'll take two simple examples after that. So as you may recall, in the last video we saw that if you have a system that is described by a Lagrangian L q dot t, this, okay. So right now I'm keeping the time dependence to be there, so there may be an explicit time dependence. Then we saw that if I use equations of motion, that is Euler-Lagrange equations of motion, then I can show that the total time derivative of the following quantity, so d over dt q alpha dot del L over del q alpha dot minus L. Okay, recall that there is a summation implied over alpha because of the Einstein summation convention, and we showed that this total time derivative is del L over del t. Okay, now if L is not a function, the Lagrangian is not a function of t explicitly, okay, if this is true, which just means that delta L over delta t is 0, then the first integral, okay, then the first integral of motion h q alpha dot del L over del q alpha dot minus L is a constant of motion, because this guy is 0 and the total time derivative of this is 0. Okay, so, and this is what I am writing as h is a constant of motion. Okay, or it is conserved. Very good. And we also found that in general, okay, h is T2 plus internal energy minus T0, and recall T2 is the term which is quadratic in generalized velocities, and T0 is the term which is or let's say independent of generalized velocities, and same is u. So u also does not depend on generalized velocities in this case, so u and T naught are at the same footing here, and that is what we found. And note that T1 does not appear in this expression. Okay, let me write it down. Note that T1 does not appear here. Okay, and we also saw that if the transformation from the Cartesian coordinates to the generalized coordinates does not involve time explicitly, okay, meaning if let me complete the sentence. If the transformation does not involve time explicitly in going from the Cartesian coordinates to the generalized coordinates, then we could show that the h, the Jacobi's integral, is same as the total energy of that system. Okay, that's what we saw. Let me write it down. So if your Ri, these are your Cartesian coordinates, and this is your transformation rule, which takes you from the Cartesian to the generalized coordinates. Let's say there are s degrees of freedom. Okay, and if this does not explicitly depend on time, so I'm removing t, then all the terms which are linear or degree 0 in generalized velocities, they disappear. So for example, t0 is 0, t1 is also 0, and then your h is just t2 plus u, but t2 is the only term which appears in the kinetic term, so which is same as t. Okay, and this is the total energy. That's what we talked about last time, and from here we want to take it further. Or maybe let me leave it like this. Okay. Okay, nevertheless, it's possible that you your transformation from Cartesian coordinates here, okay, to the generalized coordinates involves time explicitly. Okay, even then it is possible that the Lagrangian does not depend on time explicitly. Okay, and clearly in that situation your dh over dt, this quantity, this will be 0 because your Lagrangian will not depend on time explicitly. Okay, so h will be conserved, but because we are saying that there is an explicit time dependence, then your h will not be the total energy, because then h will have the form t2 plus u minus t0. Okay, so that's a remark which I wanted to make. Maybe I will write it down so that we have it neatly written here. So let me write down remark. It may happen that even when your transformation from the Cartesian to generalized coordinates is a function of time explicitly, let me just write q. Okay, that is del Ri over del t is not equal to 0. It's the same thing. The Lagrangian does not depend explicitly on time. Okay, that's nice. Which means what? If that happens, I'll give you later an example of this. But let's say we believe that can happen, then in that situation, let's go back. What is true in that situation? Here, where is it? Here. See, this is h, this piece, and this is del L over del T. I am saying del L over del T is 0, so dh over dt will be 0. Okay, dh over dt equal to 0, meaning it is conserved. H is conserved, but your h would be t2 plus u minus t0, right? Because all these terms, I mean not all these, but t0 appears because of the presence of time in this transformation law. Let's see, I think we can see here. Yeah, here you see all these terms were generated because of explicit time dependence. This one here, this one here, and this was anyway the only one which is independent of time derivatives with respect, time derivatives of r. So you see, in that case, this is not equal to total energy. Okay. So which just means that your Jacobi's integral, whether it is your h is a conserved quantity or not, it's a different thing, a different question from asking whether your Jacobi's integral is equal to the total energy. Okay, so these are two different questions, as you have seen here just now. Okay, so let's take a simple example. I'll take two very simple examples to underscore these points. So example number 1, let me use some nice color if I can. Okay, let's see. Okay, anyway, this is some funny color, but I'll take it. Bead on bead on a uniformly rotating wire that is lying in a horizontal plane. Okay, bead on a uniformly rotating horizontal ZONTAL horizontal wire. Rotating horizontal wire. Perfect. Okay. So the situation is this. So let's say you have, this wire which goes to infinity, and you have a bead here. Bead is like mala mein moti. Okay, that's the thing. So it can slide along this wire. So imagine a thin wire, not this thick pen, and this thing is moving about this fixed point uniformly. Okay, uniform means the angular velocity is not changing with time. That's what I mean. So this is moving, and and there is a bead which can slide across along the wire. That can happen. So what we are asking is, what happens to that bead when this thing is moving, rotating uniformly? Okay, and the plane is horizontal. So I'm not talking about such a rotation. I'm talking about a horizontal plane. So gravity has no role here. Okay, good. So what happens if this is the case? Okay, here. Okay. So here, let me draw the diagram. So that's your wire. It goes along this. I'm just feeling like putting more color today. Let's see if I can put. No. Okay, let's see. So here is your bead. Okay, and this thing is moving with some angular velocity omega. That's your x-axis. That's your y-axis. Perfect. And the distance from here to there, that is r. Okay. Nice. Looks good. So, well, clearly I can write down x equals r cos omega t, and y is r sin omega t. Okay, so your system is clearly one-dimensional. There is only one. So instead of using the two Cartesian coordinates x and y, I am using the Cartesian, the polar coordinates r and theta. But theta is already determined by the wire itself. Okay, so wire fixes what the theta would be for that particle. So there is only one coordinate left, that is r. And you also notice that there is an explicit time dependence in the transformation from r to q, where q is r. You see here there is a factor cos omega t, so time is explicitly here. Okay, and of course there's an implicit time dependence here, r of t. So we have an explicit time dependence. Let me write here. So we have explicit time dependence in the transformation from R to Q's, and then also, as I said, the angular position is completely determined by the wire. So the constraint that this wire is moving at angular velocity omega, that determines where the bead would be as far as the angle is concerned. The angular position determines the angular position is determined by the constraint. Okay, that's good. I believe we have already done this example earlier, so you can do the following. So clearly the Lagrangian in this case is just the kinetic energy, because there is no potential energy involved in this problem. So it's just the constraint. There are no other forces which are acting on the bead other than the force of constraint. So your kinetic energy is all you have in the Lagrangian. So half m x dot square plus y dot square, and as I said, the potential energy is 0. So exercise number 1, please do it. Show that your Lagrangian in the generalized coordinates, which is r now, is half m r dot square plus r square omega square. Okay, where omega is a constant. Okay, we said that the wire is moving uniformly, so omega is constant, does not depend on time. Now when you show this, you realize that the Lagrangian does not depend on time explicitly. Okay, so clearly this L does not depend on time explicitly, which means the partial derivative of L with t is 0, even though your the transformation from R to Q does involve time explicitly. Okay, so that's the example of such a case. Now let me write down here. Okay, so here what is T2? T2 is half m r dot square. What is T1? 0, because there is no term which is linear in generalized velocities. What is T0? That is half m r square omega square. Okay, very nice. Next exercise for you, find out the equation of motion for this system. Okay, so you please find it out, and the equation of motion, use your Euler-Lagrange equation and get the following. Equation of motion should be r double dot minus m omega square r equals 0. Okay, now exercise number 3, which is also simple. Find out the Jacobi's integral. Okay, that is find out h, and you know the formula of h. So show that you get the following. H equals half m r dot square minus half m r square omega square. Okay, that's your Jacobi's integral in this case. Is it equal to the total energy of the system? Okay, does it equal the total energy of the system? What do you think? And is H conserved? So that's the two things. These are the two things. Now H is not the total energy of the system, because your total energy was purely kinetic, which was here, right? This is the total kinetic energy. So you half m r dot square, which is here, but then you have a plus half m r square omega square, and here you have minus half m r square omega square. So clearly this is not the total energy. So we see that H is not equal to total energy of the system. Okay, not surprising, because your as we talked earlier, transformation laws do contain time explicitly. And is H conserved? Yes, H is conserved. Okay, that's our example number 1, and I hope you appreciate more whatever we talked about Jacobi's integral earlier. Now I'll take another example, a minor extension of this problem. Instead of taking the wire to be rotating uniformly in the plane, I will take it to be having an angular acceleration. So let's say it has an angular acceleration of alpha. So the rotation is not uniform with time. Okay, and we'll ask the same questions as before, and let's see. Okay, let's do that color thing again. So example 2 is bead on a horizontal wire that is rotating with angular acceleration alpha. Okay, so that's the thing we want to talk about now. Again, as before, your x is r cos theta, your y is r sin theta. You can find out theta given your initial condition and your alpha. Okay, so first you show what the kinetic energy is, and your T will be again the same thing as before. So half m r dot square plus r square omega square. But note, now omega does depend on time. Okay, so you have a time dependence which is explicit, because this omega is explicitly depending on time. See, the r's have time dependence, but omega is not a generalized coordinate. It's not some theta or something. Okay, it's anyway one-dimensional system. So this function, because of this function, your T has an explicit time dependence. Okay, which means your Lagrangian, which is same as T, because again there is no potential energy. Okay, which means that del L over del T is not equal to 0 this time. Last time it was. Okay, now is H conserved? No. Why? Because del L over del T is not 0. So your dH over dt is not equal to 0. So your H is not conserved. And anyway, there is no chance of H being the total energy of the system. Okay, because there is an explicit time involved in the transformation from R to Q, which is good. So that's another simple example. I'll give you some exercise which you can do to get some practice with doing some minor algebra in this, which is involved in this. So what you do is calculate the total derivative dH over dt explicitly. So meaning you construct the H by the relation q dot del L over del q dot minus L. You take that one, then you take a total derivative of it. Okay, so you have to use chain rule. Do that, get whatever answer you get. Then you calculate del L over del T. So take the Lagrangian, take the partial derivative, and show that dH over dt and del over del t, del L over del t, they are same. Okay, so these two should give you the same answer. Okay, so please do these two, three simple exercises that I have given. And in the next video, what we'll do is we'll start talking about symmetry due to space translation. Okay, so here we were looking at the symmetry of time translation, and we saw certain things are conserved, and we want to see the equivalent things when there is symmetry under translation in space. That will be a goal for our next video. See you then.